I can make that. All right, Joe. I want to lean off the wall with one hand before kicking off and vaulting myself onto the cage.
Okay, well, this one is going to be an athletics check, as you will be using the strength in your legs to propel you forward.
Oh, that's a 13. Okay, I'm going to use Mite's inspiration that he gave me to add a D8 to this. Damn, that brings me to a 15, Joe.
Soloman, your heart drums its rapid beat against your ribs as you square off against the void between you and the cage. Breath held captive in your chest, you lurch forward, one arm anchoring you tenuously to the wall before forcefully propelling yourself into the yawning abyss before you. Time itself seems to constrict, each split second stretching into an eternity as you slice through the shadow-laden air as motes of dust glitter in the spotlight beneath you. An insidious doubt needles at your confidence as you sail through the ephemeral space, the cage swaying ominously away from your determined grasp. Desperation fuels a last hopeful stretch, fingers scraping against cold, unyielding metal, catching the cage in a skin-stripping clutch with barely a whisper's breadth to spare. The world erupts into chaotic movement as the cage surrenders to wild, undulating swings, a dance with doom played out in each precarious sway, metal wails and groans in agony, bones jangle like morbid wind chimes, and you, Soloman, are the tempest's eye amidst this symphony of entropic discord. You have made the jump, but only just.
Well, that was too close for comfort. Okay, I'm gonna get inside of this cage. You said the lock was corroded, right? In that case, I'm just going to bash at it with the butt of my rapier until it opens up.
Good thinking, Mr. Rogue. Bash it with your butt.
Hand. He said the butt of his rapier, not his actual butt.
Although that would be very funny to see.
I'm not sure what would be funny about watching Soloman twerk on a rusty lock, but each to their own, right?
Give me an attack roll, Soloman.
That's a natural 19, so 27 to hit.
With a resolute grip on your blade, you eye up the rust-eaten lock. With a swift, almost dismissive strike, the butt of your blade connects and the lock shatters, its oxidized particles now spiraling away into the void below. The door creaks open reluctantly, revealing the dimly illuminated skeletal remains within.
I'm going to steadily make my way inside, then search the satchel and see what's inside of it.
Soloman, your fingers delicately explore the contents of the seemingly forgotten satchel, brushing against a singular item within. Pulling it out, you find what appears to be a rope, quite unremarkable at a cursory glance. However, the more you hold it, the more peculiar it seems. Your eyes sweep back to the metallic remains of the cage and the almost powdered bones that hang precariously within. Yet this rope, seemingly immune to the aging curse that pervades this fortress, lies supple and strong in your hands, its fibers as intact and resilient as if it were woven just yesterday.
Intriguing. Can I try to figure out what this rope could be, Joe? Because clearly it's not ordinary.
Roll me an Arcana check.
Nice, that's a 16, Joe.
Soloman, as you coil the rope methodically in your hands, allowing your mind to ruminate over its possible origins. Your fingers lightly trace along the seemingly pristine strands, and you recall tales from your past of enchanted ropes spoken of amongst thieves and adventurers alike. A rope that can move. The idea feels almost ridiculous, but as your internal musings ponder the possibility of a rope that obeys thought, you're taken aback as the fibers quiver ever so slightly, almost perceptibly, in your hand. An unspoken command lingers in your mind, and for a breath of a moment, you could swear the rope nudges in response.
Incredible. Well, if this is what I think it is, it's going to help massively in the task ahead. Joe, I stand up inside the cage, eyeing up the other cage with the opaque vial inside. Then command the rope to connect itself between the cage I am on and the other one.
I've never heard someone say cage so many times in such a short amount of time.
Impressive. But I bet I can beat him. Cage, 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 cage.
And in this moment, Pebble, the voice that emanated from your hand, the witty and spiffy chatter, unexpectedly falls silent. An abrupt calm washes over, and as you reflexively glance down, your hand appears simply a hand once more. The mouth that once articulated thoughts and comments, now absent, leaving your palm restored to its typical mute state.
No! Hand! Come back to me!
Farewell, cherished hand. In the solemn chambers of our hearts, your memory shall dwell eternally. May the cosmos cradle you tenderly until we meet again, your essence reborn, gleaming with an even grander luminosity.
No, that was nice.
Fuck the hand. Can we get back to my thing, please?
Okay. Calm your beans.
My beans are very calm, thank you.
Soloman, As you utter a silent, resolute command, the rope stirs, almost serpentine, launching itself through the dim, cavernous space with grace. It entwines securely around the bars of both cages, creating a taut, seemingly unbreakable link between them.
Perfect. This is going to be very handy. Okay, I shimmy my way across the rope, then try to get in this next cage.
Give me an acrobatics check out of interest. Basically, I'm looking for anything that's not a natural 1.
Ha. Well, that was close. I rolled a natural 2, so that's a 13 total.
Okay, embarking upon the rope, your journey is far from the graceful maneuvers to which you have displayed so far. Your limbs appear to momentarily forget the finesse of secure holds and confident transitions. Each pull forward is marred by a slip, a precarious slide of hands causing heart-stopping moments where it almost seems you might plummet into the ground below. Your muscles tense and twitch in an uneasy rhythm, beads of sweat emerging as you inch awkwardly along. Eventually, you do reach the other side, but you felt far too uncomfortable throughout that whole endeavor.
Well, at least I made it. I'm going to try get into this cage now.
This cage, unlike the other, seems conspicuously free from rust and remains sturdily secure. So if you want to get inside, you're going to have to use your thieves' tools to do so.
Yeah, well, that's not a problem. Okay, I get out my lockpick and give it a little shimmy.
Roll it.
That's an 18 total.
Soloman, as you insert your finely crafted thieves' tools into the seemingly robust lock, your fingers dance around the metal. A symphony of minute clicks and shifts echo in the vast, hollow abyss of the cavern as each tumbler within the lock succumbs to your skillful manipulations. After a moment, the subtlest of grins adorns your face as the lock relinquishes its steadfast hold with a satisfying click, granting you entry with begrudging ease.
Nice. Okay, so I'm just going to hop inside and pick up the vial, putting it in my satchel. Right, now, for the main reason I came up here. Joe, can I figure out how long these individuals have been dead and what race they are?
Roll me an investigation check.
Ah, that's a 10.
Soloman, as you gently peruse the bony remnants of the skeletons before you, your eyes keenly pick up on the characteristic stout and sturdy bone structure, leaving little doubt that these remains once belonged to a dwarf. However, as your gaze drifts through the cage, seeking clues to the duration of its occupancy, the passage of time seems to mock your efforts. The damp, frigid air and peculiar conditions within the fortress have conspired to obscure the typical markers of decay, rendering your estimate of their time of death entirely elusive.
All right, well, fuck this. I've been up here far too long. Joe, I command my rope to tie itself to the bottom of the cage, then I shimmy my way down to the bottom of it before jumping towards SteelJaw. Catch me, SteelJaw! Oh, and as a side note, just before I jump, I command my rope to untie itself so I pull it down with me.
Okay, SteelJaw, roll an athletics check.
Where was the fucking warning, man? So that's a 21 total.
Soloman, as your command resonates with the magical rope, it obligingly snakes its way downward, securely knotting itself to the base of the cage. With a measured breath, you begin your descent, feeling the sturdy weave of the enchanted cord in your grip. Reaching the end of your rope-tethered leap, you propel yourself forward into the open air, an adrenaline-laced trust fall toward the distant stone-cold ground below. Meanwhile, SteelJaw, your eyes lock onto Soloman's form as it hurls through the expanse between you, your muscles coiled as you brace yourself. As Soloman plummets toward you, you extend your arms, clenching every muscle in your body in preparation for the impact. The collision, though substantial, is expertly absorbed through your mighty stance, and you successfully clutch Soloman in your arms. The landing, executed with impressive precision and an inhuman grip, resonates with triumph within the icy fortress's air. Both of you remain unscathed.
Ah, my hero. For such a muscular individual, you really are quite soft and tender.
That's just my excellent skincare routine. Now get the hell off me. I drop him out of my arms, Joe.
Well, that was uncalled for.
So what did you find out up there then?
I found a magical rope. I found a vial of opaque liquid that I have no idea what it does. I know that all the dead people are dwarves, which doesn't sit well with me as they were most likely the ones who built this place. So whether they were just prisoners or something else took over and captured them all, we will have to see. As for how long they've been dead, I learned absolutely nothing.
So it was well worth the trip up there then?
Oh, absolutely. Did you not hear what I said? I have a magical rope. I mean, did you see it in action? Damn! This isn't just going to be an amazing tool for what we're doing now, but also for any future plans. Imagine robbing a place with this by my side. I'm going to be unstoppable.
You know, I understand that we have, how do you say it, evolved from petty crime, but there was always something magical about our times when we were stealing and up to mischief.
Well, don't worry about it too much, Mite. There's going to be plenty of times in the future where we can get up to no good. This is just the first step of us becoming very rich men.
Let's think about how we're going to progress further up this fortress then. There's got to be some kind of elevator shaft in something like this.
Well, I bloody well hope so. Otherwise, this entire venture was a complete waste of time.
Okay, Joe, I'm gonna begin walking up the stairs and see what awaits us at the top.
Before you do that, Mite, is there any chance you could use your identify spell on this vial of liquid?
I don't think that's a great idea, man. It'll take me like an hour to do it. I'll tell you what, when we get to the end of this day, I'll do that for you before we sleep.
That's good enough for me.
Mite, you begin to guide your group upward. The antiquated stone steps beneath your boots, whispering tales of forgotten epics with each weary tread. Shadows flicker eerily across time-worn walls, the ascent seemingly synchronized with the slow, haunting groan of the fortress, begrudgingly accommodating its uninvited guests. It takes you a few minutes to get to the top. Cresting the staircase, a divergence greets you. To the left, an ornate corridor, bathed in an inexplicable gentle light, flanked by impressive statues of dwarven nobility. To the right, a dark, cobweb-draped pathway, its secrets hidden behind a veil of impenetrable darkness and a distant, curious echo.
Does anyone have any preferences whether we go to the right or to the left?
Maybe. I think the left seems very grandiose, as if it was leading to some kind of throne room or main hall. The right, on the other hand, I could imagine that would be a corridor for more frequent visits, maybe leading towards the shaft or something. But hey, that's just a total guess, and I could be completely wrong.
Well, that's as good of a deduction as any. I say we go right.
Agreed.
Okay, we go right, Joe.
As you begin walking down the corridor, the Pebble's illuminating glow permeates into the stony passageway, and an unusual, tangible murk seems to dampen its usually radiant aura, rendering the air heavy and almost viscous. The dim light casts elongated shadows, causing them to meld and dance with the natural irregularities of the corridor. Despite the consistent and steadfast luminance the Pebble typically provides, it barely pierces through more than 10 feet in this peculiar gloom. The floor beneath your feet groans with the weight of countless years, and your footsteps displace centuries-old dust, sending it billowing gently into the air, where it hangs, suspended in the darkness. As you venture further, with your eyes peering into the dampened darkness, a muted glow, far more feeble than what the Pebble is emitting, barely tinges the edges of your vision. Mite, seen as you're leading the charge, I'm going to need you to make a perception check.
Oh, that's an 8, Joe.
Why don't you use your advantage from that inspiration you gave us all earlier? You know, the one where you figured out the order of the elements?
Nah, I'm saving that for when it's absolutely needed.
Okay. Without warning, the ground beneath your feet subtly shifts in character. From the solid, albeit weary stone, it becomes slightly springy, with a faint, almost imperceptible squish resonating with every step. Suddenly, the path seems to exhale, a gentle puff of air that brings with it an earthy, musty scent, indicative of decay and ageless neglect. Unseen in the dense, deceptive murk, spores from ancient, vibrant molds are dislodged by your presence, invisibly swirling around you, insidiously probing for entry into your lungs. As you inhale, the spores are inhaled alongside it. I'll need everyone to make a Constitution saving throw.
Great. So I rolled an 11.
I rolled a natural 1, but using my halfling luck, I'm going to re-roll that.
Well, I got a 13.
A tainted 20 for me, Joe.
My new roll is a 12.
Okay, so everyone apart from SteelJaw takes 8 points of poison damage as the spores begin to burn at your lungs.
Guys, we need to stop breathing.
Well, that's easier said than done, buddy.
Joe, have the spores dissipated or are they lingering in the air?
They are very much lingering in the air. A hurried tension wraps around your senses as the spores refuse to disband, instead swarming through the air with an unsettling persistence. A chain reaction seems to have been initiated, a hostile blooming that fills the entire passage with thick, lingering clouds of noxious mold. Visibility crumbles under the oppressive fog, turning every breath into a perilous gamble and every step into unseen territory. The perilous haze restricts your perceptions, giving all of you disadvantage on perception checks. With each passing second, the poisonous tendrils threaten to engulf you further.
Joe, I cast Gust to create a small wind tunnel, pushing the spores out of the other side.
Nice! Well, that's an incredibly creative way to solve that issue.
Man, I hope we get hand back.
Well, I hope we don't.
All right, with a resonant pop. 2 flumps, these bizarre jellyfish-like creatures with their soft, glowing pinkish bodies and a collection of curious eye stalks spontaneously materialize in the thick of the spore-filled tunnel. Their unexpected entrance is almost comically stark against the dire backdrop of your predicament. Upon laying their multiple eyes on you, their soft bioluminescent glow flickers with palpable dread. They emit a bizarre, strangled sound that can only be the flump equivalent of a scream, their eye stalks wildly oscillating in utter horror. Their tentacles flutter in desperate, frantic beats as they commence a woefully slow and utterly dramatic escape, bobbing away from your party with an urgency that's somewhat undermined by their languid speed.
What the fuck are those?
They're flumbos, Solomon. Didn't you hear, Joe?
Close enough, Mite. What Joe actually said was that they're flumps.
And how long are they going to stick around for?
I honestly have no idea.
Well, I hope it's for a while, because I like them.
As the flump's peculiarly modulated screams grow faint yet oddly resonant, you deduce they've found themselves in a more expansive space, the character of their shrieks shifting to a quivering, comical echo that dances off unseen walls about 50 feet ahead. Yet, in their slow-motion panic, these bewilderingly terrified creatures have instigated a cascade of spore eruptions, showering the corridor ahead with a thick, chalking fog of toxins. It seems their frantic flight has inadvertently rendered your path once again to be treacherously obscured. Your gust spell would clear up around 20 feet of this spore-saturated mess.
So what you're telling me, Joe, is that I'll have to use the spell 3 times?
That's about right, yeah.
Well, the Pebble better get to work. So I continue to move forward, casting gust at 20 feet intervals until we're out of the corridor.
Okay, so I rolled a 123, a 118, and a 93.
This should be good.
Pebble, amid the ominously dim corridor surrounded by a persistent haze of spores, your initial gust sends swirls of fungi dancing through the air, immediately followed by a gleaming heavenly aura wrapping itself around you. The shield exudes a gentle light, seemingly impotent against the spores, yet pulsating with latent retaliatory energy against any who dare strike you. With your second gust, you become a florist's dream, a verdant cascade of flora springing to life underfoot with every determined tread. A literal bed of roses, among other flowers, unfurls behind you, creating a beautiful pathway of blooming flora, both big and small. With the third and final gust, an audible pop reverberates off the stone walls, and your stature inflates rapidly. You are now the size of a medium creature, and your footfalls among your flowery trail are almost thunderous compared to your typical nimble saunter. Your previously petite vocalizations now boom, bellowing through the petal-strewn pathway. The rest of you witnessing this magical oddity gaze upon the Pebble, now a blossoming, glowing, enlarged version of himself, continuing his determined journey through the corridor. All of these effects will last for the next minute.
I'm not sure how much use I'm going to get out of them, but it's cool, right?
Hell yeah, it's cool, Pebble.
All right, so now that we've established that the Pebble's effects are cool, can we have a look around this room that we've entered? What do we see, Joe?
Solomon, the instant your eyes land upon the massive chamber ahead, a colossal podium dominates your attention, its vast emptiness resonating with silent echoes of lost power. An unseen source showers it with light, dramatizing the potent void where a critical element once resided. To its side, a mammoth lift shaft stands, both majestic and solemn, covered with delicate carvings and mosaics that narrate ancient tales across its sturdy frame. It's impressively large, built to transport a large number of individuals, yet is eerily motionless, its functionality seemingly tethered to the vacant podium. As you continue to survey the area, the chamber reveals several alcoves, each a scene of hasty abandonment or potential struggle, broken vials, decayed tomes, and skeletal remains draped in the remnants of official regalia lay scattered amidst dust and time. The whispered stories of these relics pull at your curiosity as the metallic tang of stagnant machinery fills the air.
Well, it looks like we found our shaft.
Indeed we have, although it seems like any source of power that was once used to influence its movements has been thoroughly diminished. My bet is that whatever was powering it seemed valuable to whatever or whoever raided this place, so they decided to take it.
So we're out of luck then, huh?
There are two unsettling possibilities that haunt my thoughts. First, whatever or whoever whisked away the power source has long since departed, rendering this contraption useless to us. Yet an even more chilling prospect lingers. The thief might still be lurking within this fortress. If so, our path upward is intertwined with confronting this adversary and retrieving what it has taken.
Well, I'm hoping that it's option number 2, because to be honest, I'm gonna be really pissed off if we've come through all this for nothing. I'm gonna be more than happy to find this thief, retrieve this power source, and kick the holy shit out of whoever took it.
And that's the optimism that we love to see.
So what's the plan then? Are we leaving this area and taking the other corridor in an attempt to find this thief?
Yeah, I think that's our best bet. It feels like we've spent too long already trying to get into this place, then doing whatever we've been doing inside of it. Plus, it's hard to tell exactly how long has passed because without the moon or sun for reference, we really are just walking blind when it comes to time and how long we've got left.
What are we waiting for then, boys? Let's head back and go find this crystal.
Yeah. Okay, Joe. We head back through the corridor and towards the other one. You know, the one with all the statues of dwarves outside.
SteelJaw, you lead the group back through the once treacherous corridor, now safely navigatable due to the hapless flumps and Pebble's timely gusts, sparing you from the lingering spore threats. Quickly and efficiently, you all make the journey without incident. Emerging back into the statue-adorned antechamber, your sights set on the alternate path. A corridor silently guarded by stony dwarven sentinels, you cautiously proceed. However, it's immediately apparent that decay has ruthlessly claimed this section of the fortress. There's something different, darker about the corrosion here, a certain strange quality that makes the stones seem not just eroded, but decayed. Your eyes catch a peculiar, almost faintly acidic scorch upon the stone. Traveling down this path, the statues of stout dwarves on either side begin to present a sorrowful sight. Once proud and mighty likenesses, now significantly marred and melted as if weeping away their very form. The further you delve, a distant pulsating red glow subtly begins to permeate the tunnel. The warm light casts eerie shadows upon the progressively disfigured statues, their once stern faces now distorted by whatever force assailed them.
Right, well, just out of habit, I think we should all proceed as quietly as we can from here. I mean, God knows what's waiting for us down this tunnel.
Are you wanting to make a stealth check?
Yeah, I do, and I think everyone else should as well.
Okay, so anyone who wants to proceed this next leg of the journey stealthily, roll a stealth check.
I rolled a 22.
That's a 16 for me, Joe.
An 11 for me.
And a 15 for me.
Okay, you all proceed down the corridor as stealthily as you can. After what seems like an age, the corridor expands into a vast, grand throne room that starkly contrasts the dark and decaying path you've just traversed. You are met with a surreal scene. Dual rivers of molten lava, serenely flowing on either side of a magnificent, albeit sinister, walkway. Colossal pillars ascend toward a towering ceiling, and above the distant throne, suspended with an aura of dominion, an enormous crystal of at least 20 feet in diameter bathes the entire cavernous space in a harsh, resplendent light. The throne below it, while impressive, pales beneath the overwhelming might of the hovering gem above.
Wait, is this the crystal that is needed to power the lift? Because how the fuck are we supposed to move that thing?
No. It's quite easy for you to tell that this is not the same crystal that you're looking for. The podium where a crystal once stood in the lift cavern, while still large, was significantly smaller than the one you're looking at now.
Whew. Well, that's a weight off my shoulders.
What do you mean, a weight off your shoulders? You were never going to be the one having to carry it, were you? We all know it would have been down to me with a slight assist from Pebble to deal with it.
Well, we all have our specific places where we excel. Yours just happens to be lifting things. You are a strong boy, after all.
Joe, can I make a perception check to see if there is any obvious danger looming?
Sure, dude. Roll it.
That's a 15, Joe.
All right, so as you glance around, aside from the molten rock under the walkway, you can't see anything that you would consider to be a threat.
I don't like the way you said that.
What's wrong with the way I said it?
Everything. I mean, just look at your face. You're definitely planning something.
Well, let's stop with the metagaminess.
I'm not metagaming. I'm just saying I feel like something's up.
That's exactly what metagaming is, dumbass.
All right, well, I'm going to start moving forward as slowly as I can to try get a better view of that throne up there and see if there are any other crystals in sight.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with him.
Me too.
Okay, so I guess we're all going then.
You all begin to cautiously advance along the formidable walkway, a collective sigh of relief escaping some of you as it proves to be remarkably stable beneath your feet, a sole, steadfast barrier between you and the merciless, molten demise below. Progressing onward, you're flanked by striking columns, each boasting its own ornate crystal podium. Though radiant and beautiful, a brief study assures you these are merely aesthetic, devoid of the potent energy needed to power the mechanisms you've witnessed thus far. Now, as you get closer to the throne, a myriad of smaller gems, twinkling enigmatically in the shadows, begin to emerge into view. Amongst them, one crystal commands your attention with imperious, silent authority. Towering at an impressive 3 feet, its essence seems to pulsate with a tangible power that was absent in the others. An intrinsic knowledge settles within you all. This is the crystal you seek.
And there we go. See, that was easy enough. I'm going to begin walking up to the throne to collect it.
Merely a few strides toward the ascending stairway that promises access to the exalted throne, a noise cascades through the voluminous chamber, seeming to emanate from an unseen abyss within the shadows.
Well, that didn't sound promising. If you loved what you saw, go ahead and smash that like button, subscribe, and share it with anyone else who you think would enjoy it. Oh, and make sure you tune in for part 3 in 2 days.